On today's video, Wu Zetian is the topic of conversation. We're gonna go over everything you need to know about her. This is the commander that comes out at the end of Lost Kingdom Season 2. Everything you need to know about her skills, how to use her, her talent trees, the pairings you can use with her, everything and anything in this video, as well as my opinion, is it worth it to invest in her or not? So sit back, enjoy the video, and yeah, let's go. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. I know the camera is in a weird position. Every time we do these, I need to find a new place for the camera so we don't block the main part of the screen, which has to do with Wu Zetian, the brand new, the eternal female emperor of China, apparently. First and foremost, if you guys don't know this, Rise of Kingdoms is based on very real commanders from history. And each one of these commanders has an eye icon right here, which if you click on it, you can read a little bit about this commander. She was apparently the Empress Wu. She was the Empress Consort Wu, technically. And she was the sovereign who ruled China, a Chinese sovereign who ruled unofficially as Empress Consort, which is kind of cool. There's a lot of cool information about her. I urge you guys to take a look and read. It's a little bit of a history lesson as well. Kind of cool. Let's talk about the commander though in the game. Yesterday on stream, someone asked me what I think about her, and I got caught very off guard because I hadn't even looked at her before. And so my first impression and opinion was like, I'm not a fan at reading through, looking through. I'm not a fan. But after the stream, I was like, listen, this new commander, you got to take a better look at her. And so we did. In my opinion, changed very, very quickly. This is one of the most unique commanders out there, and it was pointed out also in the comments by one of you guys on yesterday's stream, and we're going to talk about why that is in a moment. But let's go through the skills first, and then talk a little bit more in depth about things. So first skill deals direct damage factor to a single target all the way up to 1000, and also heals a portion of your army's slightly wounded troops up to 500. Now, someone on stream pointed out something kind of interesting, that technically this is very similar to Lohar's first skill, except that with a lot more damage and a little bit more healing factor. So everything that made Lohar a good healer, she is just as good, and on top of that, more of the good direct damage factor. Now of course Lohar has a little bit more heals in there, but anyway, 500 healing factor is not bad at all for first skill. Very good healer and a decent amount of damage. Second skill, when commanding the Garrison, all Garrison troops damage is increased by 2%, and the damage caused rally attacks is increased by 2%. I'm assuming what this is the damage caused to the rally that attacks you increases by 2%, I guess. This is a little bit of a bad wording, so hopefully this is damage to rallied army increases. So that's a little bit more understandable than this. So we can go up to 10% damage bonus in general, and on top of that, 10% damage to a rally. Makes her a very, very, very juicy Garrison commander. Very, very juicy. Increase the HP and defense of troops under your command by 2% up to 10. Your troops attack have a 10% chance to silence their target for 2 seconds. Interesting. So she's not only a healer and a buffer when it comes to a Garrison, but she can also, in general, increase defense and health by 10% plus potentially silence a target. That's actually starting to look really nice. And finally, when commanding the Garrison, incoming skill damage is reduced by 3%. Your troops have a 50% chance to increase their defense by 5% for 3 seconds when they take skill damage. Skill damage taken reduction down to 15%, and defense bonus up to 20%. So when commanding the Garrison, incoming skill damage is reduced by 3% all the way up to 15%. And your troops have a 50% chance to increase their defense all the way to 20% for 3 seconds when they take skill damage. So on top of the fact that she is a healer with some good damage, decent damage, and she also increases a lot of damage being dealt onto rallies as well as in general as a Garrison. As a Garrison commander, she also has the potential to increase defense after a skill damage is taken. And on top of all that, skill damage taken reduction. So she won't only take less damage, but she has a 50% chance after she takes that less damage to increase the defense for 3 seconds. So that's 3 rounds, where the regular attacks of your opposition, as well as potentially the secondary commander's skill, might take a little bit of a defense bonus. Remember that first commander casts, then there is a break, and then second commander casts. So if during that break the 50% is triggered and the defense bonus is up, by the time the secondary commander hits with their skill damage, there is defense right there. And so that defense is super, super, super important. Makes her a very interesting Garrison commander, really. She becomes a huge Garrison commander right there. Finally, a new skill as an expertise: counterattack damage plus 20%. Incoming attack have a 10% chance to deal damage to the attacker. So incoming attacks means every time the enemy attacks, that's every round. And there's a 10% chance in every round of the fight for you to do damage factor in return as an expertise commander. So if you have her as an expertise commander on your wall, what you're doing is you're not only potentially, you're adding counterattack damage. So if you're getting swarmed and or rallied, your counter damage is, well, if you're getting swarmed while getting rallied, this is huge. On top of all that, you can deal damage back for free. On top of all that, you reduce skill damage taken and potentially even increase your defense for the second round, the second hit. More than that, if she's a Garrison, damage bonus and rallied army, damage to rallied army increase, she is looking good. She is looking good for a Garrison commander. She's looking really good for a Garrison commander. And she's not only a Garrison commander, she's a super unique commander when it comes to talent trees, because she's the only one that's a leadership Garrison support commander. And now the question is, how do you use her? Because to an extent, 2 of her 4 skills have to do with being in the Garrison, which means realistically, you have 1 skill here and 1 skill here that apply on the open field per se, or as an attacking opposition. But as a Garrison commander, she's looking juicy, especially if we're going to start seeing commanders on flags and on passes and fortresses and forts and whatever not that are specific for Garrison rather than for any type of other like specific specialized kind of troop. It fulfills that prophecy that I have, saying that eventually you won't be able to get every single commander. You're going to have commanders that are specific for specific cases. She's a fantastic example of a commander who can be really, really good as a Garrison commander, to the point where I don't see anyone that can compete against her when it comes to Garrison. On top of that, because she has support, she can become a secondary commander for her healing as well as a little bit of damage. And for as the first skill, remember that you're going to get only 150, up to 150 sculptures of her in the Lost Kingdom. And so 150 sculptures is enough to get you to 5 and 4, because to get here is 50 sculptures plus 10 that you need to unlock her. That's 60. And to get this to 5, you need 120 sculptures. So both of these is 180 total sculptures. So you can definitely max this out, most likely, if you end up getting all of these sculptures. But you definitely can put some work into here. Getting here is going to be pretty rough and kind of useless if you're not going to keep her in Garrison. So to say max this, then unlock both of these and gamble, hoping to get here over here, is not necessarily the worst idea per se. But I really like her for Garrison. I really like her for Garrison more than anything else. Yes, she does a little bit of nuking. She definitely does a little bit of nuking. And she definitely does some healing. Very good healing. And she does have a good amount of buffs as well as debuffs. But 2 of her 4 skills require you to be in a Garrison situation. So I don't really know how much people will invest in her. It's going to be interesting to see once the game starts shifting to the point where people are holding flags and holding buildings and holding all these achievement buildings with commanders that are Garrison rather than commanders that are regular commanders, because hopefully Lilith will make it so that's a thing. that's when she will have a huge impact. I'm so used to being on that side of the screen that I keep doing that. That's when she will have the most impact, because I believe that you can make her a very, very, very good Garrison commander, even as a leading commander with your Sun Tzu as a secondary. This kind of opens up that Garrison tree, allowing her to take the Garrison role and liberating your Sun Tzu to have a different set of talents that'll be more beneficial for him on the open field as well as a secondary in the Garrison. But for now, Sun Tzu is like the big boy holding on to Garrison of cities at least. And so that's also what I've been using. If I could get her maxed out, then I would probably swap my Sun Tzu with her as primary commander in the Garrison department. There should be a lot more use to her. And I'm sure that some people that are going to end up getting her will max her out because they can and find cool utility for her. But in my opinion, as a Lost Kingdom trophy kind of thing, she is much more useful than Charlemagne. But she definitely requires you to max her out. And once you do that, you have a new Queen of Garrison. Add to that the fact that she's a support tree and a leadership tree, which means you can combine either or with Garrison, and all three, to be completely honest, with Garrison to have the best bang for your buck. She can be a really truly remarkable commander, but it requires her to get pretty far up there. And when Lost Kingdom only gives you 150 sculptures, it means you need to invest an extra 540 to max her out. And it's definitely not that time for 90% of us who are working on everything else but like something as specific as her. I'd go as far as saying that even investing on Tamaris first is a better choice as far as I'm concerned than investing on Wu Zetian. It doesn't mean she's bad. She's actually, in my opinion, the queen of Garrison as far as I care. But is she worth the investment beyond the 150 sculptures? I don't think so. I think you should definitely find a way to unlock her. And definitely unlock her and have her in your stash of commanders that will be useful in the future. Kind of like, unfortunately for me, Constantine is one of those, Saladin is one of those, and this girl is one of those. I don't know how she'll be useful, but she is. We have Charlemagne in here. This is where we got at the end of last Lost Kingdom. 5-3 with 10 missing for the 4. And I personally don't have that much use of him. Now, don't look at Alexander. Alexander is on its way up. He needs a little bit more to get boosted up, and Khan is also on his way there as well. But having her unlocked shouldn't be a bad thing, per se. And if she shows up in your card king game, you might should consider unlocking her. A, for the Writer of History pack, and B, to have her available. And definitely, if you're looking for the best Garrison bang for your buck, this is her right there. I almost went that way again. But I truly don't think that out of all the commanders that have been coming out recently, including Tamaris, Edward, and even some of the guys that some of us are still working on, like these two folks right here, Alexander, Khan, you have so many better choices. Edward, Freddy, you have so many better choices to work on that as much as I like her as a healing, semi-nuker, Garrison commander, I cannot recommend her beyond unlocking at this point. I wonder what you guys think about this. Who would I pair her with? I would probably pair her with Sun Tzu as a secondary for Garrison. If I were to pair her on the open field, if I were to pair her in the open field, I probably wouldn't do that. But if I had to, you could try to play a little game with her and Mr. Richard. Putting her as primary, yes, with leadership, which would mean you would get some extra troops out of that, and then make a super tanky Richard, Wu Zetian Richard combo, which is like a full infantry, insane healing kind of combo that could work. You could do pretty much the same with every other specialized commander that is very specific. So you could try put her as primary leader with someone like Yi Song-ye to have her as a healer. But I think her with Richard would be nice to see in terms of healing. Not in terms of too much damage, although still, again, defense and health would make her extra tanky. So can you imagine having this at 5, I don't know what, 5, with her at the front, extra troops because of the talents, and then Richard at the back, full infantry, defense bonus out the wazoo, everything out the wazoo. I think you can make a mega tank with her. But that's pretty much all I can see done with her, and there's still a lot more to come about her. I'm sure that we're going to hear a lot more about her in the near future, how people are going to work her out. As soon as we unlock her, we'll try to get a build, a talent tree build for you guys. I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you found it informative, helpful, useful, slap a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Discord in the comments down below, in the description below. Click show more under the game's name, and you'll find the description with a bunch of links, including everything I mentioned. We're very active on our Discord, pulling up a 1,900 members. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Take care. Peace.